ॐ स्थापकाय धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. So today, as you know, we will just discuss nothing very heavy, no big philosophy. We'll just discuss a story from the Mahabharata. There are numerous stories in the Puranas and Mahabharata, because the abstract spiritual truths can be best conveyed by stories and parables, and all the great teachers like Jesus Christ, Ramakrishna, and other like Tulsidas. If you read the Ramcharitmanas, there are so many similes and through which they convey the spiritual truths. So scriptures like the Bhagavata, which is the most important Purana, and Mahabharata, etc., their aim is to make us understand the higher spiritual truths as well as how to act in our daily life, how to inculcate the higher virtues in our life. And this it does through stories, similes, allegories, and all that. So today we will discuss one such story from the Mahabharata. We've already discussed a part of it. Today I will just we will just see this. I will just tell you the story through some pictures. I found one illustrated book which also contained the story of King Yayati. So beautiful pictures, and through that we can enjoy it more. So let us start then. We've already done a part of it when we discussed the Mahabharata. We know that Shukracharya, the king of the demons, he had a great vidya, that great knowledge he had of bringing back to life the demons who died in the battle with the gods. We have seen that. So we also know that Kach was sent by the gods to learn this vidya, this knowledge, which is called the Sanjeevani Vidya. And Kach learnt it and went back to the gods. Devayani, who was the daughter of Shukracharya, grew attached to Kach when he was living in Shukracharya's ashrama. And she asked Kach to marry her also, but Kach did not agree and he left. So now Devyani was living alone again with her father, the king of the demons. Not the king, the guru, the preceptor of the demons, who was the great sage Shukracharya. So let us start our story from there. I will just share. Yeah. So here you can see this ashrama is there, and Shukracharya is in meditation. His daughter Devyani is sitting beside him, and in the background you can see the lady who is entering the ashrama. She is Sharmishtha. Sharmishtha was the daughter of the king of the demons. We have already seen that. Again we will go through that again. So this Devyani and Sharmishtha were friends. Sharmishtha was the daughter of the king of the demons, and Devyani was the daughter of the guru of the demons. So king of the demons, his name was Vrishaparva, and the guru we know, Shukracharya. So Devyani and Sharmishtha were friends. So one afternoon, what happened? Devyani and the daughters of Rishaparva, the king of the demons, went to bathe in the cool waters of a pond, and depositing their clothes, etc., on the banks of the pond while they were bathing. So what happened was, while they were bathing, there was a strong breeze which blew their clothes together into a huddled heap. So all the clothes got mixed up. Here we can see. So now what happened, when they came out of the pond, since all the clothes were mixed up, some mistakes occurred. I mean, some of the girls may have worn the clothes of the other girls by mistake. So it so happened that Princess Sharmishtha, the daughter of Rishaparva, the king, she clad herself in Devayani's clothes by mistake. Okay. Now, over such a small matter, Devayani became very, very angry. She was very angry that Sharmishta could dare to dress in her clothes. So she exclaimed in anger that since Sharmishta's father was the disciple of her father, Sharmishta's father was the king Vrishaparva, who was a disciple of Shukracharya, Devayani's father. So Devayani exclaimed in anger that since Sharmishta's father was the disciple of her father, Sharmishta was like her disciple. So how could she dare to wear her clothes? So becoming angry like this, Devayani began to scold Sharmishta. Now, after listening for some time, Sharmishta also grew angry. And in anger, she said to Devayani in anger and arrogantly. We can see here, what did she say? She said, Asinam cha shayanam cha pita te pitaram mama stauti vandi vacha bhikshnam nichai sthitva vinitavat. So, your father, what does he do? He humbly bows down in reverence to my royal father every day. And are you not the daughter of a beggar who lives on my father's bounty? You forget I am of the royal race which proudly gives, while you come of a race which begs and receives, and you dare to speak thus to me. You see, the Brahmanas in those days in ancient India, the Brahmanas did not do any job or anything for living. Their duty was to give knowledge. They were teachers. So, since they didn't do any job, etc., they didn't have any regular income, the people whom they taught, they supported those Brahmanas. So, Sharmishta, that's why says that you are the daughter of a beggar who lives on my father's arms. That's what she said angrily to Devayani. So here you can see that Sharmishta is scolding Devayani. She is telling that your father sings the praises of my father. He begs and gets alms which he passes on to you as gifts. So Sharmishta became very angry and began to insult Devayani's father in this way. So now Sharmishta went on getting angrier and angrier as she spoke, till, working herself up into a fit of anger, she finally slapped Devayani on the cheek and pushed her into a dry well. Devyani fell. Here you can see Sharmishta is pushing Devyani into the well. So after this, she thought that Devyani must be dead, and she returned to the palace. She was in such an angry mood. In the Mahabharata, it is said, Krodha Vega Parayana. Krodha Vega means that storm, as it were, of anger completely engulfed Sharmishta, and she forgot what a sin she was going to commit by leaving Devyani in the well. So this is the evil effect of anger. And Sharmishta, leaving Devyani where she was, she went away. She did not even glance back. Now, Devyani had not lost her life. She had not been killed by the fall into the well, but she was in a sad plight because she could not climb up the steep sides of the well. As we all know, it is practically impossible to climb up a well. So she was alive, but she could not come up. So she began to call out for help, but there was nobody to help her. Now, fortunately, Emperor Yayati of the Bharata race, who was hunting in the forest, by a happy chance, he came to this very spot in search of water. He was feeling thirsty, so just by chance he came to this very spot where Devyani was in the well. So here you can see Devyani was calling for help, and by chance Yayati came here. So he rode up to the well and looked into it, and he heard Devyani's voice calling out for help. So he looked inside. What did he see? He saw a lady there, and he asked Devyani, "Well, who are you?" He was extremely surprised to see a beautiful lady in the well. He asked, "Who are you? Who is your father? How did you fall into the well?" So Devyani replied, "I am the daughter of Shukracharya, the great guru of the demons, one who has the power to make to come to life the demons who are killed by the gods. My father does not know that I have fallen into the well, so please lift me up," Devyani said. Here you can see Devyani is introducing herself and asking Yayati to lift her up from the well. Saying this, Devyani held out her hands. Yayati seized her hand and helped her out of the well. So here you can see Yayati is helping Devyani out from the well. Now, Devyani did not wish to return to the capital of the king of the demons because his daughter had insulted him and she did not feel it safe to go there. As she pondered again and again on Sharmishta's conduct. So now she asked Yayati, she said to Yayati, the king, "You have held a maiden by her right hand, and now you must marry her. I feel that you are in every way worthy of being my husband, so please marry me." In this way, Devyani requested King Yayati. But Yayati was afraid. He said, "My dear, I am a Kshatriya and you are a Brahman. You are a Brahmin. You are the son of a daughter of a Brahmin. How can I marry you? How can the daughter of the great Shukracharya, who is worthy to be the guru of the whole world, submit to be the wife of a Kshatriya like myself? How will your father take it if I marry you? If he gets angry, I am finished. Because in those days, you see, a Kshatriya maiden could marry a Brahmin boy because by that her caste would become higher. But a Brahmin lady could not marry someone of lower caste. Hmm. So Devyani was a daughter of a Brahmin. So naturally she could not marry a Kshatriya by the rules of that time. So that is why Yayati was afraid that if he agreed to marry Devyani, Shukracharya would become very angry and he had the power to destroy him. So that is why Yayati said, please go home. I cannot marry you for this reason, and please convey my respects to your revered father. Like this, saying like this, Yayati left the place. So you can see here Yayati going away, but Devyani could not forget Yayati easily. But she had no option. She had to return home. She had to return home, or she could stay in the forest. Now problem was that she was so hurt and so angry that she did not want to return home at all. So she remained sunk in sorrow in the shade of a tree in the forest. It is said, Kvachid arta cha rudati vriksham ashritya tishtati. Arta we know, we have studied in the Gita that arta means afflicted, grieving. So arta, when it becomes feminine, it becomes arta. So Devayani was afflicted now, she was grieving, she was crying, rudati, and she took shelter under the shade of a tree. She did not return home. Now Shukracharya loved Devyani more than his life. So he waited and waited for Devyani to come, and when Devyani did not return, Shukracharya began to worry. So we can see here, he wondered, why hasn't Devyani returned yet? I better go out in search of her or send someone to go and search for her and bring her back home. So what did Shukracharya do? He sent a woman in search of Devyani. So the woman he sent, after a long search, she at last came to the place where Devyani was sitting under a tree in dejection, her eyes red with anger and grief, and she asked her what had happened. So to that woman messenger, Devyani said, friend, go at once and tell my father that I will not set my foot in the capital of Vrishaparva because his daughter had insulted me in such a bad way. Because Sharmishtha was the princess there, she would not set foot in the kingdom of Vrishaparva. Saying this, she sent her back to Shukracharya. So when the lady went back to Shukracharya and told him all this, then Shukracharya grew very worried and went to the forest himself searching for Devyani. So here we can see Shukracharya searching for Devyani, and finally he saw Devyani. He came to the place where Devyani was sitting under a tree and he saw Devyani weeping. So here you can see Devyani sitting here, and at last Shukracharya found her and went to her and he asked her what had happened. Why is she sitting in the forest and not returning to her home? So you can see here, Shukracharya is asking her child, where are the others? Where are your friends? Why are you weeping? So when he asked her like this, Devyani told him everything. All that had happened, she told him that how Sharmishta had insulted her, and here you can see she told that Sharmishta's cruel words hurt her more than her cruel act of throwing Devyani into the well. So Devyani said her cruel words hurt her even more than this cruel act of being thrown into the well. So this is what Devyani told Shukracharya. Now Shukracharya heard everything, but he was a sage, you see, so he knew how should a person act when confronted by such a difficulty like Devyani was now. So he gave her counsel, he gave her wise counsel. What did he say? He said, my daughter, Atma doshair niyachati sarve dukha sukhe jana manne duscharitam testi yasyayam nishkriti krita. So he said, Atma doshair, it is by one's own fault that sarve, everybody, jana, sarve jana means all the people in the world, it is because of our own bad karma that we receive dukkha, that is sorrow, and because of our own good karma, we receive sukh, which is happiness. So he said it is by our own actions, good or bad, that men are happy or miserable. Manye duscharitam testi. Duscharitam means you must have done something bad either now or before, of which you have got this result. So with these words of wisdom, he tried to console Devyani. But as often happens when we are angry, when people are angry, we don't see reason, we don't see logic. We just want some way to vent out our anger. So now Devyani, when she heard this words of counsel from Shukracharya, she replied in sorrow and anger. She said, Father, leave all that philosophy alone. Leave all that for now. You just tell me, was Sharmishta, the daughter of Rishaparva, right when she told me you were but a minstrel singing the praises of kings? She called me the daughter of a beggar living on doles of flattery. Not content with this arrogance, she slapped me and threw me into a well which was nearby. After all this happens, you say that I should forget everything. It is impossible. I cannot stay in any place within her father's territory. Saying this, Devyani began to weep. So now Shukracharya, hearing all this, he drew himself up proudly and said, Devyani, you are not the daughter of a court minstrel. Your father does not live on the wages of flattery. You are the daughter of one who is revered by all. Indra, even Indra, the king of gods, knows this, and Vrishaparva is not ignorant of his debt to me. So don't worry at all. Your father is not a beggar. He is revered by one and all. Just be patient and let us go home. So again, Shukracharya requested Devyani to come home, and again he gave this wonderful counsel, wonderful teaching, which is very, very useful to all of us. What did he say? Ya paresham naro nityam ati vadang stitikshate devayani vijanihi tena sarvam idam jitam. Ya paresham, paresham means by others. Ativadang. Ativada means all the insults, all the abuses, etc., which are hurled by others. Ya naro titikshate. Titikshate means forbears. One who forbears all the insults and abuses, etc., which are hurled upon him by ignorant persons. You know that Devyani Tena sarvam idam jitam. Here, tena sarvam idam jitam. This means that know that he has conquered all the worlds. One who forbears everything, someone says to us something unjustly without reason. So if we forbear that, our power within grows. And we succeed in conquering our inner nature, and one who conquers himself conquers the whole world. So that is why Shukracharya says, Ya paresham naro nityam ativadans titikshate devayani vijanihi tena sarvam idam jitam. Then he also says, the next verse, Ya samutpatitam krodham nigrinati hayam yatha Sayantetyuchyate sadbhir no na yo rashmishu lambate. So the translation is giving below, he who controls his anger as a horseman breaks an unruly horse is indeed a charioteer and not he who merely holds the reins but lets the horse go whither it would. He who sheds his anger just as a snake its slough is a real hero. So, if a person is sitting on a chariot, he is driving a chariot, but he cannot control the horse. So, what kind of a charioteer is he? He is no good. So, only one who can control his horse, that is, only a person who can control his sense organs, is really great. This is what Shukracharya says. Then another very wise teaching you can see here. He who is not moved despite the greatest torments inflicted by others will realize his aim. He who never gets angry is superior to the ritualist who faithfully performs for 100 years the sacrifices ordained by scriptures. Servants, friends, brothers, wife, children, virtue and truth abandon the man who gives way to anger. So wonderful teaching of forbearance here given by Shukracharya. It is a kind of a commentary on what Holy Mother said. Forbear everything. Holy Mother herself, all the great souls we know, they were pictures of forbearance. So this is how Shukracharya explained this. One who forbears everything will realize his aim. And one who is always angry, no one likes him. Even his servants, friends, brothers, wife, children, even virtue and truth abandon the man who gives way to anger. That is why we know that Sri Ramakrishna also, once when Swami Niranjananda grew very angry on some people who were criticizing the master, Sri Ramakrishna told him, anger is a great sin. Never give way to anger. So we see that this teaching is repeated here. So Devyani in reply, she humbly told Shukracharya, she understood this. She told Shukracharya, yes, I am indeed a little girl, I am your little daughter, but I am not too young so that I cannot benefit by the great truth taught by you. But still, it is not proper to live with persons who have no sense of decency or decorum. Another great teaching, this time by Devyani. Devyani is telling this to Shukracharya. This is also very, very useful in our lives. What did Devyani say? She said, yes, father, you are true. When you are saying that one should control his anger, it is true. But अकरणात् ये द्विषन्ति परिवादं वदन्ति च न तत्रास्य निवासोऽस्ति पापमभि पापतां व्रजेत. Akaranat, without any reason. Dvishanti. Dvishanti means if someone hates us without any reason. And parivadam vadanti cha means says bad words, abuses us without any reason. Na tatrasya nivasosti. One should not live with such people because they are sinners. So if somebody is blaming us, abusing us, getting angry with us for no reason at all, one should give up the company of such persons. Then she says, the ill-mannered, here you can see, the ill-mannered are really veritable chandalas. Chandalas, people of low caste. So who are the real chandalas, who are actually of low caste? The ill-mannered people. Even if they are rich, they should be considered low caste, and the virtuous should not mix with them. One should stay away from those who criticize and harbor enmity without any reason. Why? Here you can see the reason for this. Sukrite dushkrite vapi yatra sajjati yo naraha ध्रुवम रतिर भवे तत्र तस्मात् दोषम न रोचयेत. Good and evil, to whichever a person is attached. Here you see sukrite dushkrite means good actions and bad actions. Yatra sajjati. Sajjati means attached. So good and evil, to whichever a person is attached, he quickly develops a fondness for it. This is very important for us. If we continue to do bad actions, then slowly we become attached to evil. And if we keep on doing good actions, we become attached to good. So we should stay away steadfastly from anything bad, either bad actions or bad people, because if we continue to keep company with bad persons and we continue to do bad actions, slowly we develop an attachment to that. Then it becomes extremely difficult to give up bad company and bad actions. So she said, Father, what you are telling about controlling one's anger is true, no doubt. But I think we should also keep away from persons who get angry without any reason and hurt others just for the sake of it. Because if we stay with such bad persons, we will also become bad in course of time. This is what Devyani said. Then she said, my mind is ablaze with the anger roused by the taunts of Rishaparva's daughter, and I am terribly agitated. So I cannot go back. I cannot go back to the kingdom of a person whose daughter behaves in such a way. So here you can see, saying all this, Devyani told Shukracharya, I won't means I won't go home. I just want to go away from this kingdom. That's all I want. Please don't force me to return home. So she said, how can I live in this kingdom as a dependent of that arrogant princess, Sharmishta, who has called you such bad names? So now Shukracharya had heard enough. He was terribly fond of his daughter. So here we see Shukracharya could not bear to see his beloved daughter weep. He said, compose yourself, my daughter. She who has hurt you will not go unpunished. Saying this, what did Shukracharya do? He immediately went to Vrishaparva's palace. So leaving Devyani in the forest, Shukracharya left for the capital of the Asuras. Asuras means demons. So he went to Vrishaparva's court straight away, and he saw that Vrishaparva was sitting on the throne, and now he gave counsel to Vrishaparva. A very important teaching for all of us. Here, this Shukracharya is telling the king of the demons, who was his disciple, a very, very useful advice. What does Shukracharya say? Na dharmas charito rajan sadya falati gauriva shanairavartya manohi kartri mulani krintati. So, here na dharma is the sandhi, na adharma. This na dharma means na adharma. Adharma means bad actions, bad deeds. So Rajan, O king, adharma that we do, sometimes na sadya falati, it does not produce fruits instantly. Sometimes if we do bad actions, sometimes we see that the fruits are not visible immediately. But in course of time, what happens? Shanai means slowly. What happens? Kartri mulani santati. It cuts, these bad actions cut at the very root of the life of the person who performs them. This is what Shukracharya said, that king, sometimes our bad actions don't give result immediately, but you can be sure that in course of time, those actions destroy that person. And then he again says, O king, just as when we tend to a cow, in course of time it matures and gives milk, or when we plant a seed, it slowly grows and in course of time it gives us fruits. Similarly, though one's sins may not bring immediate punishment, they are sure sooner or later to destroy the sinner. This is what he said to Vrishaparva. He said that your sins will destroy you, and you have kept on creating problems for me, because you see, when Kach had come to learn the Sanjeevani Vidya from Shukracharya, the demons were afraid that if Kach learned that Vidya and he went to the gods, then the gods would also learn to make alive all those gods who died in the battle with the demons. So this Vrishaparva had tried to kill Kach on many occasions. So Shukracharya said, Kach, the son of Brihaspati, was an austere person and never committed any sin. He served me so much and never strayed from the path of virtue, but your demons tried to kill him also, but I bore it. Now, my daughter, who holds her honor high, had to hear dishonoring words uttered by your daughter. Also, she was pushed into a well by your daughter. So, she cannot stay in your kingdom anymore, and if she cannot stay, I will also not stay. So, I am going away from your kingdom. So, here you can see Shukracharya is telling Vrishaparva, I have come to tell you that I am leaving your kingdom, never to return. Now when Vrishaparva heard this, he began to shake. He did not even know, poor chap, he did not even know what had happened. Suddenly this was a bolt from the skies. His own revered guru without whose help he would be destroyed, he wanted to go away. So Vrishaparva began to shake in fear. He told Shukracharya, revered sir, I don't even know what you are talking about. I am ignorant of the charges laid at my door. The asuras will be completely lost without you. So if you leave me, I promise you that I will give up everything and I will end my life by jumping into the fire. So Vrishaparva said this, that, sir, if you leave me, I will commit suicide, I will burn myself in the fire, because without you, the demons will be destroyed. So if you abandon me, I shall enter into the fire and die. At this, Shukracharya said, I care more for the happiness of my daughter than for the fate of you and your asuras. He said that my daughter is more dear to me than you or your demons. So only if you can appease her, then only I can stay, otherwise I will go. If she is pleased to stay, if you can please her, then I will stay, otherwise I will go. So at this, Vrishaparva rushed to the forest where Devayani was sitting. Now you can see here, when Vrishaparva and Sharmishtha, they went to the forest where Devayani was sitting, and Vrishaparva is telling Devayani, Oh Devayani, please forgive Sharmishtha for whatever she has done. Please don't be angry. Please forgive her. Now, Devayani said, okay, I will forgive her, but only on one condition. Here you can see Devayani is telling, I will means I will forgive her on one condition. So Vrishaparva said, anything you ask for will be granted. You just have to ask. So what did Devayani say? Devayani put this condition. What was the condition? Dasi kanya sahastrena sharmishtham abhikamaye anumam tatra gachet sa yatra dadyat cha me pita. She said, I want that Sharmishtha, along with 1,000 other maidens, should serve me. Sharmishtha with 1,000 maidens should serve me, and she must follow me wherever I go. Follow me means, suppose Devayani was to be married tomorrow. So Devayani said, even if I am married, Sharmishtha must go with me, Sharmishtha and the 1,000 maids. They must accompany me and serve me. This was the condition. So now Vrishaparva had no other option, you see. He asked Sharmishtha, his daughter, that please agree. If you don't agree, my guru will leave me. So here we see Sharmishtha begging pardon of Devayani and telling, I shall cheerfully do so, Devayani. You and your revered father must not leave the asuras or the demons. So this was what happened. So Devayani was now pacified. She said, okay, if all my conditions are met, I have no problem in staying here. She was pacified and again returned to her home with Shukracharya. So here we see that everything has become as before. Shukracharya is sitting in meditation under a tree and Devayani is there. So Devayani and Shukracharya returned to the ashrama. Now what happened? Now Yayati enters the scene again. Once they were in the forest, Devayani and Sharmishtha, once they were roaming about in the forest, when Yayati, who was there again by chance, he saw Devayani again. You see here, Devayani is sitting under a tree and this is King Yayati. So Yayati, when he saw Devyani, he said, "Ah, isn't that the girl I rescued from the well?" He recognized Devyani, and Devyani also saw King Yayati. So when she saw him, she again made the same request. So again Devyani requested Yayati that, "O king, you took my hand in yours when you took me out of the well. Now please accept me as your wife." So now Yayati again said, "See, I am a Kshatriya and you are a Brahmin, so your father may be angry. So if you say I can marry you, but only if your father himself offers you to me. Only if your father offers you himself, then I know that he will not be angry, and then only I can marry you." So Devyani said, "Okay, that's no problem. My father cannot refuse me anything, so I will ask him to let me marry you." So here we see Yayati standing and Devyani is asking Shukracharya, "O father, he took hold of my hand when I was in distress, so you will bestow me upon him, won't you?" Devyani asked like that. So Shukracharya assented, and here we see in this beautiful picture that Devyani and Yayati were married. They became husband and wife. And now here you see when Yayati was leaving, Shukracharya said, "Yayati, take care of my Devyani. She is dearer to me than life." So Yayati promised, "Yes, revered one, I will do so." And again Shukracharya asked Yayati, "Keep her happy, keep my daughter happy. Never hurt her by your words or deeds." So again Yayati promised Shukracharya, "I assure you, I will never hurt her in any way." Saying this, Yayati and Devyani left for Yayati's capital. Here you see. And they reached there. See this beautiful picture. Yayati is entering the capital, and people welcomed him, gave the rousing welcome to their king, and they were very glad that now he had been married. So they spent many days happily, Devyani and Yayati. Here you see the happy family. They had many sons. So everything was going on fine. But unfortunately, Yayati could not remain faithful to Devyani, his wife. He could not remain faithful, and Devyani found about that. She found out that Yayati was having relations with somebody else also. So as soon as Devyani came to know of Yayati's infidelity, she went running to Shukracharya. Yayati tried to stop her, but she did not listen. So here you see Devyani coming back to her father Shukracharya, and Shukracharya asked her, "What is the matter? Why have you come here?" So Devyani said, "Father, I have been deceived by my husband. I have been deceived by Yayati. I cannot go to him again." So this was what Devyani said. At this, Shukracharya became terribly angry. He became terribly angry. Again and again he had told Yayati that Devyani is dearer to me than life itself. But he found that Yayati had broken his promise. So here Shukracharya is telling, "O king, you had promised me you would not hurt my daughter by your words or deeds. You have broken your promise." So now Shukracharya cursed Yayati. He gave a terrible curse. Here you see Shukracharya is there standing with Devyani, and below there is Yayati. Shukracharya is cursing him, pronounced a terrible curse. What was that? This was the curse. Since it was the curse of youth that prompted you to do so, may you lose your youth and grow old this very minute. This was the curse, that immediately you will grow old. So Yayati was terrified to hear this curse, and he immediately grew old. Here you see, immediately Yayati has grown old, and Shukracharya and Devyani are standing there. So Yayati was terrified and he begged forgiveness from Shukracharya. He began to beg forgiveness. He told, Holy One, I implore you, take back your words and please restore my youth. I am not satisfied with the enjoyments of the world. So I beg you, please take back your words so that I can become young again. But Shukracharya replied, Shukracharya was a little, full of pity because of this appeal of Yayati. So finally he said, here you see, Yayati is begging forgiveness from Shukracharya. So taking pity upon Yayati, Shukracharya said, I cannot revoke a curse, Yayati, but if anyone is prepared to oblige you, you may exchange his youth for your old age. If anybody agrees to give you his youth in exchange for your old age, then you can give that person your old age and you can become young again. This is what he said. So Yayati said, okay, I have so many sons. One of my sons will certainly oblige me. I will go to them this very moment. I will ask my sons. They will certainly take my old age and give me their youth. So now Yayati went. He asked one of his sons, you can see here, he asked his eldest son Yadu, O Yadu, my dutiful son, take my old age and give me your youth for a period of 1,000 years, because I have yet to enjoy the world. I am not satisfied with enjoyment. Please give me your youth. So naturally, who will give one's youth? Even if the person asking is one's father. So one by one, all his elder sons, he had many sons. So all except the younger ones, they refused. Now you see his son telling Yayati, oh father, how can I give you my youth? I have my own dreams and ambitions. How can I fulfill my own desires if I give up my youth and embrace old age? Old age is such a terrible thing. It destroys one's strength. An old man cannot do anything. His speech falters. He is in such a helpless condition. How can I take your old age? I have got so many things to do in the world. So everybody except the youngest son of Yayati refused. Now the youngest son was the only hope left for Yayati. So he called his youngest son now. This is Yayati's youngest son, and Yayati is begging from him, Puru, you are my only hope. Puru was the name of the son. So Yayati says, Puru, you are my only hope. If you refuse, I am done for. So Puru said, no father, I won't refuse you. I will surely give you my youth. I will gladly exchange my youth for your old age. Take my youth and retain it as long as you desire. Because you are my elder, you are my revered father, and he said, Gurur vai vachanam punyam Swargyam ayushkaram nrinam. If one obeys one's guru, one's teacher, then all merits come to such a person and he attains heaven. So you as my father are my revered teacher and I want to do your bidding, so I will now take your old age in exchange for my youth. So immediately you can see here, Yayati became young again and Puru became an old man. Now Yayati, having got back his youth, he again went out and began to enjoy himself. He spent years and years and years in all kinds of enjoyments. But even after enjoying for 1,000 years, as it is said, he found that his desire for enjoyment was not reduced even to the least. In fact, what had happened was the opposite, that his desires kept on increasing. That was the thing which he found. So he went again to Puru. He said, Puru, I have found that desires are never gratified by indulgence. What happens to desires then? On the other hand, with indulgence, they only flare up like fire fed with ghee. Ghee, when we pour ghee is inflammable. Ghee is a very inflammable thing. So when we pour ghee into a fire, what happens? The fire is not extinguished, but it blazes up all the more. So these are the exact words which Yayati said. They are quoted again and again and again in our scriptures. What did Yayati say? My son, yatha kamam yathotsaham yatha kalam arindama sevita vishaya putra yauvanena maya tava. Yauvanena, with your youth, I have enjoyed sense pleasures yatha kamam yathotsaham. I have enjoyed with full fervor and as I liked, for as long as I liked. But what did I find? I found this great pronouncement, na jatu kama kamanam upabhogena shamyati havisha krishnavartmeva bhuya eva vivardhate. I found that sensual desire is never quenched by indulgence any more than fire is by pouring ghee into it. It only increases in intensity by that. Then he also said, Yat prithivram vrihi yavam hiranyam pashavastriya ekasyapi na paryaptam tasmat trishnam parityajet. All the corn, animals or gold in this whole world are not even sufficient to satisfy even one man. Therefore, one should give up desires. If a single person be given the enjoyments of the whole world, then also he will not be satisfied. So the only way in which we can attain peace is by giving up desires. Then he says, decrying desires, he says, Ya dustyaja durmati bhi. Durmati means one who are of perverted intellects. Dustyaja means that which is difficult to give up. And na jiryati jiryata. Jiryati means it does not become less even when our bodies decay. Even when we become old, the desires don't become less. And yosav pranantiko roga, that which will take away our lives, the disease which will take away our lives, which will cause us death, that is desire. Trishnam tyajata sukham. That Trishna we should give up. So here you can see that which is extremely difficult to give up by the people of perverted intellects and which does not wane even when the body becomes old and which is a deadly disease, such is desire. Only by giving it up can one attain peace. This is what Yayati realized at the end. So he told his son, I shall spend the rest of my days in meditation. You please take back your youth and govern the kingdom. I have found that there is no peace in sensual pleasures. The more one enjoys them, the more peaceless one becomes. So I will now meditate on God, I will meditate on Brahman and realize God and attain eternal peace. So Puru becomes young again. You can see here, Yayati has become old. So Yayati now crowned Puru the king of the kingdom. He installed Puru on the throne and he went to the jungle. He went to the forest where he began to meditate upon Brahman, the ultimate reality. And finally, back by his meditation, Yayati, in course of time, he attained Brahman. So this is a story and many teachings we have seen here from the Mahabharata. The first very important teaching was that Shukracharya tells his daughter Devyani that one should forbear. If someone unjustly also tells us something, one should not become angry, one should forbear. The second teaching was that one who controls his anger at all times, he wins all the worlds, he conquers himself. One should never give way to anger, and one should know that the happiness and misery which one is getting is the result of one's own deeds. And then another great teaching by Devyani, that one should not keep company with bad people, one should not be addicted to bad deeds, because if one keeps on performing bad deeds and keep company with bad people, one becomes addicted to evil in course of time and then one is destroyed. And finally, the great teaching that if we hope to attain peace by worldly enjoyments, it is a very false hope, because our desire for enjoyment is never satisfied by enjoying. It can only be put to rest when we renounce. So this is the teaching of Swami Vivekananda. This great teaching, he echoes the teaching of Mahabharata. These are the words of Swami Vivekananda. He says, it is before you, getting any desire is like putting a stick into a nest of hornets. Desire is increased by desire. Knowing all this, people still plunge into it all the time. Life after life, they have been going after the objects of desire, suffering extremely in consequence, yet they cannot give up desire. There is also endless suffering. These desires of the body bring only momentary satisfaction and endless suffering. It is like drinking a cup of which the surface layer is nectar while underneath all is poison. But we still hanker for all these things. So what is the solution? The solution is given below in the words of Swami Vivekananda. What can be done? Renunciation of the senses and desires is the only way out of this misery. If you want to be spiritual, you must renounce. This is the real test. Give up the world, this nonsense of the senses. There is only one real desire, to know what is true, to be spiritual. No more materialism, no more this egoism. I must become spiritual. So this is the great teaching of the Mahabharata, which is conveyed to us through the story of Yayati. That trying to find satisfaction in the world and all its enjoyments is absolutely futile. No one in the world has ever been satisfied. Tell me one person who has told after enjoying everything that I am satisfied, I don't want anything. Even the great one who is called the Great, Alexander the Great, he conquered nearly the whole world. After that, he became sad because there was no more land to conquer. Just imagine the condition. So all of us are more or less in the same boat. We are trying to find satisfaction in the world, trying to find peace in the world through worldly enjoyments, but this can never be done. Never. So learning from this, we have to rid our minds of worldly tendencies and meditate on God, which is the fountain of peace, which is the abode of peace and blessedness. This is the lesson we learn from the story of Yayati. So, this was the story of Yayati as told in the Mahabharata. We will end here today. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.